Jimmy and High Res got it right. This is a war. This is a war on freedom. This is a war on children. This is a war on religion. This is a war on your ability to think. They want to control all information. They want to control what you think, and they're doing it all over the world. All over the world.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
How many kids you found?
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's gonna pass the drug trade. Because you can sell a bag of cocaine one time to a child 5 to 10 times a day. God's children are not for sale.
How long you been doing this?
12 years now.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
How many kids you found?
Timoteo, tú rescatas niños, ¿verdad? ¿Puedes ayudarme a encontrar a mi hermana?
Te lo prometo.
For Homeland Security, you know we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
Which means she'll disappear for good. Imagine walking into a room right now, seeing an empty bed. What we do?
You quit your job, and you go and rescue those kids.
So at this moment, she could be a block down the road, or she could be in Moscow, Bangkok, LA. She's a major operator.
It's all rebel territory. No one goes in. Not the army, not the police, not us.
What if this was your daughter?
There's no Marine unit coming.
You're on your own. This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
When God tells you what to do, you cannot hesitate.
An estimated 2 million children are trafficked every year, and we can help them. Sound of Freedom is based on a true story about real-life heroes saving kids from the dark world of child trafficking. We know this is heartbreaking and it hurts to look at, but the first step in helping these children is hearing their story. Not enough people know this problem exists, and even fewer people are willing to do anything about it. Our goal is to inspire 2 million people to attend the film's opening weekend, to represent the 2 million trafficked children around the world. To spread the word, Angel Studios set up a Pay It Forward program where you can pay for someone else's ticket who might not otherwise see it. If the ticket price is stopping you from attending, claim your free ticket at angel.com/freedom. Sound of Freedom opens the week of July 4th. Every parent, every adult, and every teenager in America should be there to see it. If millions of us come together today to see this film, we could propel the movement to help save millions of children around the world. And you can send the message that God's children are no longer for sale.
Particularly in this country, we're spiritual beings. And I think that this idea of spiritual warfare is very real. I think that as we go forward, and as we have seen, the assault on faith is real. It's very real.
problem both domestically and internationally, and we're going to bring it out into the open, and hopefully we'll do a great deal to help prevent some of the horrific, really horrific crimes that are taking place. I am prepared to bring the full force and weight of our government to the federal and at the federal level and the other highest levels, whatever we can do in order to solve this horrific problem.
Are you lost in your lies? Do you tell yourself I don't realize your crusades a disguise? Replace freedom with fear, you trade money for lies. I'm aware of what you've done. No, no more sorrow. I pay for your mistakes. Your time is borrowed. Your time has come to pay. I see pain, I see need, I see liars and thieves, abuse power with greed. I had hope, I believed, but I'm beginning to think that I've been deceived. You will pay for what you've done. No, no more sorrow.
All children, born and unborn, have a God-given right to life.
Hey, everybody. It is Monday, July 10th, the year of our Lord 2023, and I hope everybody's doing well out there. I hope you had a great weekend. We are back. We're still working on a new schedule for Liberty Arise News and what that's going to look like. Today we have a show. We're going to just do, it might be a little shorter than usual, but we're going to go through and we're going to talk a little bit about Sound of Freedom. I just saw the movie yesterday, and I've been familiar with the story of Tim Ballard for quite a while now. But this movie was really well done, and it seems to be making waves in the box office. The number one selling movie of the week, outselling Indiana Jones, and projected to be about $60 million in its first week from a independent film company called Angel.com. Might know Angel.com from the movie The Chosen. Or the show The Chosen, the series. It's and they continue on with such an amazing follow up. I mean, they have a ton of great content, but this is probably the widest reaching video that they've done. That's really making waves throughout the world, and of course, anytime you have a video or a movie such as such as this that brings awareness to such an intense and passionate topic. You also have a lot of attackers. You have a lot of haters out there, and we're gonna discuss those a little bit today. Talk about some of the attacks that came out with with this film, especially from places like Rolling Stone magazine, as well as CNN, MSNBC, all calling all calling Sound of Freedom a QAnon-based movie, a QAnon conspiracy movie, which, if you actually saw the movie, there's nothing having to do with any sort of QAnon concept. So we'll dive into all that a little bit. But before I even go there, quick announcement. Actually, I just wanted to say that this is listener-supported content, and it is folks like you that can help support this mission and help keep us alive. We're doing our best to bring you content as much as we can, and it's all been on my dime and my time. I've dedicated everything I have to making this happen. And, we could use some support to be able to maintain this platform. And so if you can donate in any way, shape, or form, it'd be much appreciated. The first thing you can do that doesn't cost you anything, not a single thing, is just hit the like button, hit the thumbs up, share this video, and subscribe to Liberty Rise content, no matter what platform you're on, whether it's on Rumble or Pill.net or DLive or Facebook, Twitter. Just share this content out and follow First Liberty Rise. This listener-supported, crowdsourced media that's outside of the lamestream corporate information control is so important. This is how we get outside of that paywall, that smoke screen that of the government propaganda, and we need every help. All content creators out there, independent content creators, need so much help and support to make this happen. And if you can donate, that's even a better help. Buy Me a Coffee is still out there. We got Cash App, Venmo, Rumble Rants, or Red Pills on Pill.net. Pill.net's a great platform, and Rumble Rants on Rumble are phenomenal. You can become a monthly subscriber as well. Any way to help support this show, we truly appreciate it, and we need your help in order to keep moving on and to keep this mission alive. And we also have a great sponsor. And you guys, if anybody's watched this show, you might be sick of me talking about it. But Be Nourished, obviously, they're incredible. And just have honey in your life. Honey is just such a valuable, nourishing support. And if you can order some of the best honey on the planet from Be Nourished, you will not be sorry. So go to nourishedmaui.com and get your Be Nourished honey for 22% off using Liberty at checkout. And Be Nourished honey is some of the best honey on the planet right here from the North Shore of Maui, and they feed off of millions of amazing wildflowers, and the bees are super happy and create a unique and incredible honey that they then Be Nourished mixes with all sorts of different superfoods and makes a incredible nourishing product. But once again, that's Be Nourished at nourishedmaui.com, Liberty at checkout, and so you can go check them out. I've got a great announcement, guys. We will be live streaming tomorrow night from the famous historical Iau Theater in Wailuku for the Healing Vaccine Injuries with Dr. Pierre Corey, Dr. Ryan Cole, Dr. Kirk Milholm, and Dr. Kim Milholm. We'll be starting at 5:45, and it goes to 9, and we will be discussing all different healing vaccine injuries and as well as long COVID. And so we're very excited to bring that to you. We'll be live streaming from the theater with some interviews beforehand. We'll be on Rumble, Pill, Twitter, Facebook, DLive, and others. But once again, tickets are still available as well if you want to be live and in person. That's at the famous Iao Theater here on Maui in Wailuku. And once again, I'll be streaming live from that event. So very excited to bring that and these amazing doctors to you guys. So come join us for that. All right. Well, let's dive into the movie. It's it's a very intense topic that we know is happening. We know it's out there. We know that it's going on. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year is made off of selling children, and this isn't a conspiracy. This isn't a something that's happening in a far off land that doesn't affect us. This is happening everywhere in every part of our world. And, the United States is the number one consumer across the world. With our borders being wide open and migrants just flowing through our border and them using children, bringing children across the border and selling them, it is happening on a level that's just catastrophic for our society and for the future of our children and for the future of this nation. And it's hard to look at. I know topics like this, you want to stay in your comfort zone. You want to look away. You don't want to look at the darkness. I know that happens quite often within our society. We tend to turn the cheek and look a different direction when there's something ugly, something scary, something that makes us uncomfortable. But the only way anything's ever going to change is if we face it head on, if we look at it, if we bring it to the light. And if we keep it in the darkest corners of our society, these little children continue to be abused and manipulated. And this is not a conspiracy theory. This is fact. There's more slaves right now in the world than there ever has been in history. 2 million children go missing each year. It's serious. This is not a joke. This is not a conspiracy theory. There is a large amount of pedophiles, criminals, at the highest level of our government, at the highest level of law enforcement, and it's everywhere. And now, of course, we get to see that all of these outlets like ABC, like CNN, MSNBC, they're all bashing this movie as a conspiracy theory, QAnon conspiracy theory. What do they have to hide? There was this great little piece on Fox News with this morning that talked about the video a little bit. Let's listen in and start ourselves off with this clip.
Special Agent Tim Ballard, who left the agency to start his own operation to save trafficked kids. Here's a clip.
How'd that make you feel? Giving a child his freedom.
Felt good.
You have been at this for 12 years.
My country, 'tis of thee.
Why are you doing it?
Because God's children are not for sale. It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen.
We're Homeland Security. We can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
And yet somehow you have failed to bring me one real-world lead.
It's over, Tim. Close up and come back home.
So you quit your job and you go and rescue those kids.
But liberal media is trashing this movie as alt-right extremist propaganda. Like Rolling Stone writing, "The Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brain worms." CNN even accusing the filmmakers of fear-mongering with fake facts. Listen.
These films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites.
Bogus facts, Kaylee?
Yeah, no, Tim Ballard is a real-life hero. CBS, in fact, profiled him just a few years ago and essentially applauding the guy who saves vulnerable children. That's all he does. My parents went and saw the movie. They said it was packed. They've not been in a theater that packed in a long time. People applauded when the kids were saved. People even stayed through the credits to try to figure out how to help these kids. I had the privilege of interviewing Eduardo Verastegui, the producer of this, who talked to me about kids having their organs harvested. That's what this is about. And I asked him about the QAnon headlines. Take a listen to what he had to say.
There's a lot of people that don't know that this is real. They think that this is too far from them. It's happening next door, behind your house. There is a lot of, distractions out there. They're being, they're trying to take this movie away from theaters. I made this film 5 years ago. For 3 years, everyone passed. Netflix, Amazon. Everybody said, this is not for us. This is not for us. This is not for us. Until finally, I was praying for an angel to come and rescue this film, and Angel Studios came. And because of them now, millions of people are watching this film.
So why did the media pass on this? It's a great question. I'd love an answer. Instead of calling it QAnon, why don't you listen to how to help vulnerable children? It's really confounding.
And even more disturbing, Harris, is the notion, as he talked about, that they are trying to actively remove it now from theaters and suppress it. I can understand, I guess, if you give the benefit of the doubt of projects, and we're going to pass on this one, not sure. Once the proof is in the pudding, the millions that it is incurring, and the fact that it affects all Americans equally, regardless of political persuasion, why are they trying to stamp this out?
Well, we saw the beginning of this when Disney bought the entertainment parts of Fox, the movie-making parts. They shelved this. They decided that they wanted to stop its journey then. But the Lord had a different plan. So, we're going forth with this. I do find it interesting, though, that widespread legacy, mainstream liberal media doesn't want to jump in and cover the issues of this film the same way that they didn't a few weeks ago when Merrick Garland, the DHS Homeland Security Secretary, Mayorkas, sat at a hearing and testified that he really didn't know where 85,000 migrant children were in this United States of America just a few weeks ago. On their watch, they have lost that many children coming into the country. So I'm heartbroken that there's not more coverage. I'm dispassionate to any sort of, oh, my goodness, let's all suddenly care if the government were to lean in. They have 85,000 children they need to go find right now, and we don't know how many of them need to be rescued. And that's on their watch. That's on our souls. How dare they?
Harris hits the nail on the head, Ari, that apparently should everyone watch this movie, should everyone give it the acclaim and the discussion that it deserves, the attention it deserves, they have to admit the southern border is open. They have to admit that their compassionate policies are cruel, that children are being destroyed over this, and that apparently they can't care.
Well, of course that's going to be the case. But let me give some advice to the cultural left. It's bad enough the cultural left in America over the last several decades has distanced themselves from the American flag. It's bad enough that they've made the word patriotism something that doesn't have universal appeal. Don't do this to the issues of child abuse and sexual trafficking. Those are genuine, real issues, and everybody should care. Forget politics. These are issues we should all be united as a nation. Their reaction to it is reprehensible.
I fear it's a little too late, Kennedy, because I think at this point, weirdly, if you online search for anything involving child pornography or child trafficking, it automatically ushers you into a crafted narrative that it is a right-wing conspiracy theory. Confoundingly, it's not based on any logic.
Well, and you don't have to overblow the statistics to know that children are abducted, and people make a lot of money through human trafficking, especially with children, and it's something that a lot of people don't want to talk about because it's so heartbreaking, and it's god awful to think about what is really happening to these children. But there are some incredible agents and former special operators who create organizations like these because they know the government has failed so many of these children. So it is these private individuals who have formerly served who are going out, and they really are doing the Lord's work.
That's right. They're the true heroes. More outnumbered in just a moment.
So we hear all over the nation, this movie is being repressed. Tickets are being refunded. Air conditions being turned off. There was just two explosions that apparently were heard under the feet of some viewers at a theater just yesterday. The theater I was in, it was great. I mean, but the AC was definitely super high. But it was kind of perfect because it kept you involved. But there's a bunch of different articles that are out there. There's obviously a bunch of hit pieces, and there's this actually pretty good piece that came out that was on Variety. Let's check this movie out. How Jim Caviezel's faith-based Sound of Freedom became the summer's unlikely box office hit. Sound of Freedom, a religious thriller. Yep, okay. Led by the Passion of the Christ, Jim Caviezel is becoming an unlikely box office savior. The faith-based movie about child sex trafficking has collected an impressive $40 million after 6 days of release. Projected to actually hit $60 million, I've been told. Sound of Freedom opened last Tuesday, generating a mighty $14.2 million on Independence Day holiday. The film picked up another $18.2 million between Friday and Sunday, enough to place third on domestic box office charts behind Insidious, The Red Door, $32.6 million, and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, $26.5. It's playing in 2,850 North American theaters, a smaller footprint than Insidious and Indiana Jones, 3,188 theaters and 4,600 theaters, respectively. As with our July 4th numbers, today's numbers exceed our expectations, and we're going to continue this moment, said Brandon Purity, head of theatrical distribution at Angel Studios. So they keep saying the numbers a little bit skewed here from what I understand. There's another couple different articles out that predict a completely different number. But either way, it is from a private independent studio that has gone on to hitting just absolute milestone and breaking through on July 4th weekend. It's obviously a situation where people are finally really interested. People are sick and tired of the manipulation that's been going on with our children. People are sick and tired of seeing this destruction continue to happen, and yet you have other organizations like this from business and politics. CNN joins Sound of Freedom bashing bandwagon and decries film as a QAnon-conspired moral panic. Considering one respectable cable news network, CNN's outgoing carrying of water for the woke agenda, it should be no surprise that the self-proclaimed most trusted name in news has joined its fellow left-wing propaganda outlets in trashing a powerful new film about the dark underworld of human trafficking. Once The Sound of Freedom beat out Disney's big-budget Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny at the box office when it opened on 4th of July, the smear machine roared into action with ad hominem attacks on film's devoutly Christian star Jim Caviezel, who has been slimed along with the crowd-funded action drama that goes where the corrupt media won't be shedding light on child sex trafficking and scourge of pedophilia, a depraved practice that many on the left are working tirelessly to normalize. On Friday night, in building upon hit pieces already published by several left-wing outlets, CNN welcomed author Mike Rothschild, this guy, a self-proclaimed expert on the wacky QAnon conspiracy theory psyop that Democrats and their stooges have effectively used to paint conservatives, especially Trump supporters, with a broad brush as violent domestic extremists. Mike, the star of the film, Jim Caviezel, is coming under a lot of scrutiny from his embrace of QAnon conspiracy theories, as you seem pretty familiar with him. Let's take a listen into this this interview. This is I don't like to play anything from CNN, but listen to how just absolutely garbage this is.
A surprise movie battling Indiana Jones for the top spot at the box office, and it stars a QAnon promoter. The Sound of Freedom is based on the life of the real-life former Homeland Security agent who staged sting operations to catch child sex traffickers. But the film and its star are raising eyebrows among critics. Some say that it bends the truth about child exploitation, and it caters to QAnon conspiracy theorists. Its distributor, Angel Studios, denies those accusations. Jim Caviezel, the star of the film, is also known for openly embracing QAnon theories. For more on this, I want to bring in a journalist and author of The Storm is Upon Us, Mike Rothschild. So, Mike, the star of this film, Jim Caviezel, is coming under a lot of scrutiny for his embrace of QAnon conspiracy theories. And you seem pretty familiar with him because he doesn't really hide his association with this real wild plot that involves, drinking the blood of children and things like that.
No, he doesn't hide it at all. And you have a lot of people who are in this world of QAnon who say, oh, they don't know what that is. They've never heard of it. They're just asking questions. With somebody like Jim Caviezel, he is openly embracing it. He's openly using its catchphrases and its concepts. He's speaking at QAnon conventions. And this film is being marketed to either specific QAnon believers or to people who believe all of the same tenets as QAnon, but claim they don't know what it is.
And The Sound of Freedom does focus on a real issue of sex trafficking. But that theme, it's sort of like that kernel of truth that feeds the QAnon conspiracy theory. Tell us how those two things work together.
Sure. And the most durable and the most believable conspiracy theories are not entirely false. There's something in them that is true and the rest of it is false. But the believers point to the one true thing and they say, oh, you don't believe that this particular thing is true. In terms of child trafficking, we know trafficking is real. We know it has real victims. No one is denying that. But these films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites and only people like Tim Ballard and only people like Jim Caviezel, and by extension, only people like the ticket buyer can help bring these trafficking rings down. So there's a very participatory element. You're not just going to see a movie, you're just killing 2 hours on a hot day. You are helping bring down these pedophile rings and save children.
Oh,
now, it's
God
not
forbid.
True, but it's a very comforting and it's a very warm feeling to have.
Oh, it's not true, is it? Huh. Interesting. So bringing light to a major topic that needs to be brought light to, we don't want that to happen. I mean, look the other way. Jeez, we don't want any of the darkness to be brought up in our society. It goes right along with this. Our society's view of living in sunshine and rainbows and looking at butterflies instead of actually paying attention to the real world issues that need to be addressed on a regular basis. And of course, woke CNN, MSNBC, and even let's see, let's take a look here. Here's another one. Victor reacts, left attacks, Sound of Freedom as QAnon conspiracy claims the movie is a result of moral panic. People on the left are now attacking the hit movie The Sound of Freedom for allegedly encouraging QAnon conspiracy theories. Sound of Freedom has outperformed Disney's $300 million budget film Indiana Jones at the box office, yet the far-left mainstream media, rather than addressing film's central issue of child trafficking, is painting the movie and its supporters with a broad stroke of QAnon conspiracy. Once again, this focuses on the Mike Rothschild scenario, but then we dive into to even more of this insanity that's going on, and on the same week that the awareness comes to the child sex trafficking and what is happening at our U.S. border, and this movie of Sound of Freedom. Here we go. The DOJ removed international sex trafficking of minors from the areas of concern. The Department of Justice erased content from its webpage on child sex trafficking that highlighted the plight of international sex trafficking of minors in late May. The stunning revision comes amidst scrutiny of President Joe Biden's continued incitement of mass migration via America's porous southern border, a prime avenue for child sex trafficking, and also concluded with the recent release of the film Sound of Freedom. The Department of Justice website chronicling what constitutes child sex trafficking and how the department is combating it underwent severe revisions on May 12th and 2023, including the erasure of 3 sections: international sex trafficking of minors, domestic sex trafficking of minors, and child victim of prostitution. The webpage belongs to the Criminal Division of the DOJ, which outlines the subject area the department's child exploitation and obscenity services focuses on. It was previously updated under the Trump administration in May 28th of 2020. One form of sex trafficking involves the cross-border transportation of children. In these situations, traffickers recruit and transfer children across international borders in order to sexually exploit them in other countries. Explain the now deleted description of international sex trafficking. The traffickers can be individuals working alone, organized crime groups, enterprises, or networks of criminals working together to traffic children into prostitution across county lines country lines. It continues. This form of sex trafficking is a problem in the United States, and recovered victims originate from all over the world, including less developed areas such as South and Southeast Asia, Central America, South America, to be more developed areas such as Western Europe. Once in the United States, a child may be trafficked to any or multiple states within the country. The United States not only faces problems of foreign victims trafficked into the country, but there is also homegrown problems of American children being recruited and exploited for commercial sex. Begins the section detailing domestic sex trafficking. Pimps and traffickers sexually exploit children through street prostitution and in adult nightclubs, illegal brothels, sex parties, motel rooms, hotel rooms, and other locations throughout the United States. Revealed a section highlighting children forced to engage in prostitution. In the section, child sex trafficking, which remains on the Biden administration's version of the DOJ website, the following paragraph was also erased. After cultivating a relationship with the child and engendering a false sense of trust, the trafficker will begin engaging the child in prostitution and use physical, emotional, and psychological abuse to keep the child trapped in a life of prostitution. It is common for traffickers to isolate victims by moving them far away from friends and family, altering their physical appearances, and continuously moving them to new locations. Victims are heavily conditioned to remain loyal to the trafficker and to distrust law enforcement. The screenshots below show the marked difference between Trump and the Biden-era version of the website. And you can go to this website. You can check the Department of Justice, U.S. Department of Justice website for child sex trafficking edits. And it has it all right here in this article. And so, while they quietly why would they quietly remove and edit the sex trafficking of minors from as areas of concern from the DOJ website? Why would they edit that? Why would they be removing that? We have to ask that because we have all sorts of issues that are popping up around the nation that are coming to light. Such things as there was a former gymnast, and actually he just popped up in the news today. The former doctor, I should say, for the U.S. gymnastics team, Larry Nassar, right? This man here, let's dive into this for a second. This is the article that just came out today. Former U.S. gymnastics doctor and convicted pedophile Larry Nassar stabbed several times in Florida prison. The disgraced team doctor of the U.S. gymnastics team who pleaded guilty to sexually abusing children gymnasts was stabbed at a federal prison in Florida. Disgraced Team USA doctor Larry Nassar was stabbed in the U.S. State's penitentiary Coleman in Florida over the weekend. Nassar was reportedly stabbed in the back and the chest and is now stable condition after receiving medical treatment. The judge handling Nassar's case declared in 2018 that Nassar sexually abused over 265 identified victims and an infinite number of other victims. Larry Nassar, who was convicted of sexually abusing female gymnasts, has been stabbed. Disgraced sports doctor Larry Nassar, who was convicted of sexually abusing female gymnasts. This is the same stuff. Let's jump back on down. So he was sentenced to 175 years in prison for sexually abusing children that were entrusted in his care, and a number of these victims. It could have been a lot less, but the FBI, they botched the investigation in 2016 and let him continue on, like basically kind of covered it up. And it seems like that type of stuff continues to keep going on. Just like this new case that just came out as well. Dozens of immigrants moved from police station where officers were being investigated for alleged sexual misconduct. The Civilian Office of Police Accountability said it learned that the alleged misconduct Thursday and notified the Chicago Police Department Bureau of Internal Affairs where formally opened an investigation. Dozens of immigrants were moved from the Ogden District Police Station on the southwest side Friday afternoon, a day after officials said they were investigating allegations of sexual misconduct involving officers and at least one immigrant temporarily housed there. About 40 immigrants were loaded onto two buses where their belongings at 3:30 p.m. Chicago police officials did not say where they were headed. The immigrants were surprised by the move, a volunteer on the scene said. The Civilian Office of Police Accountability said it learned of the sexual misconduct allegations Thursday and notified Chicago Police Department's Bureau of Internal Affairs, which formally opened an investigation. A police spokesman initially issued a statement Thursday night saying an investigation into claims of sexual impropriety had jointly been opened. So what it seems like from this article and the research I've done, it seems that these officers in Chicago were sexually abusing migrants who were housed in this prison temporarily until they were found to be relocated. So this seems to be going on everywhere we look. It is unbelievable how this continues to arise. Here's another article that that just came out, and this is Franklin police working to identify several young children who were drugged and raped by a popular soccer coach. A heartbreaking investigation is underway as Franklin police work to identify several young children who were drugged and raped by a Franklin man. Camilo Hurtado Campos, a popular soccer coach, is being held for rape of a child and sexual exploitation of a minor. Detectives are expected to file several additional charges. Police were contacted by a local restaurant after staff found a cell phone left behind by a customer later determined to be Campos. Workers took a look through it to try to find info that would lead them to the owner so they could return the phone. What they found instead were dozens of unconscionable videos and pictures of children and so they called the police. During the immediate and tireless investigation, detectives found hundreds of disturbing videos and pictures on that phone. In many of them, Campos recorded himself raping unconscious boys between the ages of 9 and 17 years old. The 63-year-old soccer coach has lived in Franklin for the last 20 years, with the time split between two neighborhoods, Hill Estates and most recently on Glass Lane in downtown Franklin, where during off hours, Campos frequented nearby school playgrounds in both neighborhoods, where he approached kids and recruited them as players on his team. After gaining their trust, Campos invited many of the kids to his home, where he drugged them and raped them. The rapes of at least 10 children have been found on Campos's phone so far. Working with local schools, detectives have identified 2 of his victims. Police hope that those familiar with Campos can help them put a name with the faces on the remaining victims. Detectives say that the children in these videos were in such an unconscious state that they might not even realize that they are victims. So, man, this continues to keep going on. It continues to be in every aspect of our society. This article just came out. Family says missing girl 14 left in Hampton Barracks. Sex trafficking task force investigating. A 14-year-old ran away from her grandmother's Spring Valley home. Was found last week outside the Marine Camp Base, Camp Pendleton, San Diego County Sheriff's Department confirmed the teen's disappearance was reported to the sheriff's department 4 days later by her grandmother. The grandmother reported the deputy that the teen had previously run away before but was always returned home quickly, noted Melissa Aquino, SDSO media relations officer. The girl, who has learning disability, was found in the barracks June 28th by military police, according to her aunt. Perez claims her niece was sold to a Marine for sex. The SDSO spokesperson, Lieutenant David Ladio, told NBC7 that the only involvement their department had was recovering the juvenile because she was listed as missing from their jurisdiction. However, Aquino, SDSO, was supporting the Naval Criminal Investigative Service with their investigation, along with San Diego Human Trafficking Task Force. The photo shared publicly of social media July 2nd showed the handcuffed Marine being escorted by military police on base. On June 28th, Captain Chuck Palmer of Camp Pendleton Base 1st Marine Logistics Group confirmed a Marine was taken into custody that day and questioned by NCIS about his involvement with the girl. We can confirm that the Marine and Combat Logistics Battalion 5, 1st Marine Logistics Group, was taken into custody for questioning by Naval Criminal Investigative Services on June 28, 2023. As seen on social media, the incident is under investigation and will continue to cooperate with the NCIS and appropriate authorities. The Marine has not been identified, officially charged as of Thursday, remains in the custody of his command, according to Palmer. The security looked her in the face and allowed the man to bring a minor onto the base. Perez, the teen's aunt, said due to her age, she could not have been given this consent. So now we're taking a look here. And it's happening with coaches. It's happening with our U.S. military. It's happening on every aspect of our society, it seems. And this continues to go on and on and on. And yet, we continue to hear that this is just a conspiracy theory. That sex trafficking and the involvement of our nation, our leaders of this nation, the doctors in this nation, the Marines, police officers, they all seem to be involved in this. This seems to be something that is embedded in every aspect of our society. And it seems that is exactly what the agenda has been all along. We have the woke LGBT movement that has now overtaken the White House and overtaken Target and overtaken all of these large corporations, including Bud and Bud Light, and we see that they continue to push immorality. They continue to push perversion onto our society, onto our children with grooming events like drag time, story hours, drag shows. And yet we look deeper and deeper and deeper, and the targets really are our children, the youngest among us. There is organ harvesting that happens. There is the sexual trade happening. And then on the deepest, darkest sides, it's the ritual sacrifice and abuse that continues to happen. And yes, like Jim Caviezel says, like has been accused of being a QAnon conspiracy, there is the adrenochrome. There is the drinking of adrenal-filled blood, adrenaline-filled blood. This is evil. This is satanic. And this is an attack on God. Attack on our connection, our relationship with the Lord. And these evil agendas have infiltrated every aspect of our society. And now, anybody who speaks out around the world, it seems that there's been persecution and torturing of Christians. It's gotten to a point where we have Christians just being murdered all over the world. There's this article that came out from Gatestone Institute, and it came out on the 2nd, and it said, "What is the sin committed by Christians? The persecution of Christians, May 2023. Is it because we're Christians that we're being attacked in the Muslim-controlled state? Federal governments do not care to protect us?" A Christian reported by Morning Star News, June 1st, 2023, in Nigeria. Muslim bulldozer driver at a construction site killed his supervisor, a Christian, by crushing him to death. May 18th, 2023. Both sides in the civil war in Sudan are led by Islamists, trying to portray themselves to the international community as pro-democracy, advocates of religious freedom. May 24th, 2023, Sudan. Sudan has been governed by Sharia law, Islamic law, since 1983, and is one of and only a few countries in modern times where the death penalty for apostasies have been carried out. In one such case, in 1994, 2 Christians from a tribal group that had converted from Islam in the early 1970s were executed by crucifixion. I answered him that the Bible is a holy book. He beat me that night and told me that he was punishing me for leaving Islam and that he will automatically be rewarded in Jannah, paradise, by Allah. He took me at his vehicle and dumped me inside Queen Elizabeth National Park to be eaten by wild animals. May 30th, 2023, Uganda. When I was a little Muslim child, would spit on the Christian cross and kiss the Islamic crescent moon in front of us. We, the Christian children in the village, were called slaves and cockroaches. The hatred towards our Christian communities may be less visible now, but is still there. This is because Muslims know that the authorities are behind them. One boy taught another Muslim child to say, "Kill the infidels." June 28th, 2023, Turkey. A baby Jesus in a 400-year-old painting had his throat slit with a knife. June 2nd, 2023, Germany. The extent of attacks on Christian symbols in Central Europe is significant but suppressed. June 2nd, 2023. The heads of Virgin Mary and baby Jesus were decapitated from a statue standing in Agiso, the capital of French island, which in recent years has been taken in Muslim migrants. May 23, 2023, Corsica. The following are among the murders and abuses inflicted by on Christians by Muslims throughout the month of May of 2023. Note, because there were so many incidents of persecution in Pakistan, a separate article was dedicated specifically to that. Nigeria, Muslim terrorists on Fulani variety slaughtered 43 Christians during raids on 2 villages on Nasarawa state. A local Christian described the jihad on Taklafia village on the night of May 12th and 13th as a Christian slept. Most of the victims killed during the attack were women, children, and the aged, as most of them were unable to escape as the armed Muslim terrorists and herdsmen shot randomly at anyone they sighted during the ambush on the village. A pastor and his wife were among those murdered, and the village church was also torched. Another Christian discussing the same raid said, "My elder brother was critically injured and is lying between life and death. The question is, what is the sin committed by Christians in Taklafia and Gwanja communities? Is it because we're Christians that we're being attacked and the Muslims-controlled state and federal governments do not care to protect us?" 2 days later, during the night of May 15th, Fulani terrorists armed with AK-47s and machetes murdered another 50 Christians, including another pastor, while assaulting villages in Plateau State. The attacks were again launched in the middle of the night where Christian villagers were asleep. Most of those murdered were, again, women and children. Democratic Republic of Congo, between May 12th and 14th, militants, allied democratic forces, and Islamic terror group connected to the Islamic State burned to death at least 8 Christians during a series of raids. The report adds that the violent persecutions continue to rise in the region, and assaults like this are shocking but sadly not surprising. A local pastor added, "The ADF is killing God's people." So I'm not going to read any more of that. However, this persecution against God's people, this persecution against anyone who really is connected to the Lord, is real. And the most vulnerable are the children. And they're coming after the children because the World Economic Forum, the global elites, the agenda is to destroy innocence. The agenda is to destroy all that is good in this world, because fear is how you control a people. And those who follow the Lord have no fear, or we're told to not have fear because the Lord is our guide and Savior, and we are promised that eternal Savior in heaven, that being on the right hand of the Lord. However, on this planet, on this earth, the persecution is real. The sex trafficking is real. The destruction of innocence is real. And it really is up to us to take a stand. As much as the mainstream media wants to invalidate it, they want to discredit it, it really is up to us to take a stand. Support organizations that can stop trafficking. Get rid of organizations that continue to put out child porn and abuse children. And without, law enforcement agencies at the highest level, it's going to take exposure to the population to show this darkness and what is really truly going on. The corruption that exists at the highest levels is real, and it is what has been allowing this to happen. And this may run all the way to the White House. This may run all the way to the central banking system. This may run all the way to the highest levels of government across the world. We already know that there's been so much happening in Ukraine with human trafficking and organ harvesting. It's all being covered up. And it takes people to speak about it and bring it to the public eye, like the movie Sound of Freedom, things like that, to start the mass conversation to call for justice and truth to be revealed. one woman who's doing this, Christy Hutchinson, she's been a guest on the show in the past, and she sent a message out specifically to the people of Hawaii. And we know that people just disappear, it seems, on these islands. It seems that the level of children that go missing is astonishing. Let's listen to the message from Christy Hutchinson.
If you want to stop the trafficking of little girls and little boys, and even young girls, in your own state of Hawaii, with these yachts and offshore places, me and my team will come. When me and my team come and we are on the ground, make no mistake, they will be rescued and people will be held accountable and arrested. But it takes your willingness to help partner with us so I can make that happen. We can be there in 2 days if we had the funding to do so. These operations, unfortunately, even though we're all volunteer, my team is, but these guys that we do the extractions, they may not come home to their families. This is very dangerous work. We are shot at. There's a reason why I travel with security, because I have bounties on my head. This is not for the faint of heart. These guys are very serious people. This is very serious money. And when you disrupt this, they don't want you to be around because you're interrupting their business flow. Each child is worth about $27 million over their lifetime to a cartel or the traffickers. My team can come. We can stop it. We can expose it. And you will physically see on camera where your money's going to go to when we make these types of extractions and arrests. We'll have our cameras rolling. But I need you to donate. You're going to have to donate. It costs money. I have to pay these guys. I have to be able to look at their family members, and if they don't come back, explain to them why they didn't come back, but they can still pay their mortgages and take care of their children. They're risking their lives. I'm risking my lives for others. The partnership would be you to send some money so we can do this. And you can put on that check, Hawaii Operation Hawaii. That's what I'd want you to write on your check or your donation. There's always a little area where you can put Operation Hawaii. 100% of those dollars will go towards us taking a team or several teams, depending on how much we get, to come in and rescue your own in your own backyard.
Yes. So that's Christy Hutchinson, Women Fighting for America. And once again, the website is wffa.win, W-I-N. And you can donate to her organization. And, she deploys teams all over to take out human traffickers and bust up human trafficking rings. So, it's people like that, people like Underground Railroad, R-O-U-R under the Tim Ballard's organization. And, it's people like that who are going to put an end to this human trafficking and expose it. And it takes soldiers. It takes, like she said, people who are willing to put their lives on the line to protect others. It's a dangerous industry, and those who are involved in it don't want to lose the things, the people, their slaves that they own. They're willing to do anything to maintain their property. Well, I recommend that you get out there. If you haven't seen Sound of Freedom yet, please go out and see Sound of Freedom, and talk about it with your friends, talk about it with your family. Like, this is something that needs to be addressed on a regular basis. And this is something that needs to be brought to light. We can't let the mainstream media and these goons sweep it under the rug any longer. It needs to be brought to light, and we need to look at it, and we need to address it. And people as a whole need to be aware that it could be happening in your backyard. It could be happening in your neighborhood. It could be happening right next door. And it's gonna take people like you and I, and people who have seen this movie, and people who are willing to become aware, step up and say no in order to protect the most vulnerable in our society, protect these children who have seen just terrible acts and continue to be taken from their families in ways that children should never be taken. Their innocence needs to be protected, and we can only really judge a society on how it treats its most vulnerable, and the children are the most vulnerable, and that's what's going to set a future for a nation like ours. It's going to determine what that future looks like. Well, we're going to call the show right here, and let's, if you can, donate in any way, shape, or form to help support this show. Here's a couple ways you can do it. Red Pills over on pill.net. Cash App, Venmo, obviously Rumble Rants. You can become a monthly subscriber on Rumble or on Pilled, and we appreciate any sort of subscriptions or donations that we get. It helps us to keep the lights on in the studio and keeps this this mission alive. We also appreciate our sponsor, Be Nourished, and all they do for us, nourishedmaui.com. Make sure that you go to nourishedmaui.com and use Liberty at checkout for getting some of the best honey on the planet delivered directly to your front door. And make sure that you check out their products, nourishedmaui.com. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to call it right there. We will be back on Wednesday, but tomorrow night, once again, we will be live with Healing Vaccine Injuries at the historic EAU Theater in Wailuku with Dr. Pierre Corey, Ryan Cole, Dr. Kim Milholm, and Dr. Kirk Milholm discussing healing vaccine injuries and healing long COVID. So we'll be live streaming starting at 5:45 tomorrow evening. So keep an eye out for that. Come back and check us out. We'll be on Rumble and pill.net, as well as Twitter and Facebook and DLive. So hope everybody's enjoys your Monday. Hope you kicked it off right. And we'll see you all on the other side, everybody. Have a great Monday evening, and we'll talk soon.
Come and see the crooks and thieves riot in the renegade streets, working for the devil's deed. The toil till the work is done. A savior comes to save the weak. A lame man walks, a blind man sees. In a land where no one's free, they know that the day will come. Shadows rise, step out of the darkness and into the light. Yeah. Calling our heathens, outlaws and sinners. Start marching, start walking. Swindlers and dealers, liars and cheaters. Start running, the day's coming. Calling our heathens. Calling our heathens. Spirits flow to morning light underneath the full moon bright. Whiskey and a little moonshine, they dance with the rising sun. The wicked road and lawless land will wash the blood off from their hands, scheming with their evil plans, but justice soon will come. Wrong is right, no one knows what's black and white, so join the fight, yeah. Calling our heathens, all outlaws and sinners. Start marching, start walking, yeah. Swindlers and dealers, liars and the cheaters. Start running, your day's coming. Call
run to the trouble, folks. And what is the trouble? The trouble is the Biden administration that is seeking to turn this country into a socialist hellhole. The trouble is Antifa that wants to roam the streets and beat you into submission.
Calling all heathen, outlaws and sinners. Start marching, start walking. Swindlers and dealers, liars and cheaters. Start running, the day's coming, it's coming. Calling all heathen.
All the right in the world on my side. And there ain't no reason to be afraid. And there ain't no reason to not take the challenge head on. Because I'm going to tell you who we come from. We don't come from some weak, jellyback, spineless. That's not who we come from. None of
us. They have ruined Election Day in the United States of America. That's provable. And that's enough for me to fight the left with every fiber in my body.